What is up, guys? It is DMG here, and today we're going to be looking at the tactics and instructions for the 4-3-1-2 formation, specifically Huge Gorilla's tactics. Now, obviously, I am going to change a little bit of the tactics, and I'll mention what are his tactics and what are my tactics. And the reason I'm doing that is because obviously he's a pro. He's going to be able to do things that the vast majority of us are not going to be able to do. Pros make up like 0.01% of the FIFA community base. So obviously we have to change what, his tactics are and change, what a lot of pros do for ourselves and try to fit it so then we can actually get a couple of the tactics to work. Because, let's say we use his tactics, that way we can adopt that and change it and say, okay, part of this I did like, but part of it I didn't like. And then that way, we can use some tactics that might be overpowered, and then that would help us later on to, finishing higher in FUT Champs, finishing higher in division rivals as well. So this is the team that I use, and we'll talk about the types of players that you need in the positions as well. But first we're going to go into the tactics section. So obviously I mentioned the 4-3-1-2. Now for the defensive style, we go balance. Width is 4, depth is 4. Now I believe that Huge Gorilla has drop back, and the reason why I'm not a huge fan of that, even not even just talking about the drop back aspect, but just because for me, the fact that the 4-3-1-2 does not have any defensive mids, I found that there is no defensive support at the top of the box. So you have your defenders who obviously drop back and they get inside of the box, which, if you're trying to defend, that's nice, obviously. But again, because there's no defensive mid, your center mids are going to be further up. They're not going to be at the edge of the box. So I usually had to drag all of my center mids back, and that would typically, help the opposition and give them time to build an attack. So obviously for me at least, that's not going to cut it. So that's why I have it on balanced. And then for the width and then the depth, obviously that's just going to be 4. That's a pretty standard thing. Nothing that I feel as though you need to change. So moving on to the offense now, starting just with the corners and free kicks. Obviously that's something you guys can decide what you guys want to do. If you're losing, bump the corners up, bump the free kicks up. Otherwise, do what you need to do. That's going to be up to you guys. Now for the players in the box and the width and the offensive style, all of these kind of interlock with each other, to be honest. So with the players in the box and with the width being a little bit higher up, that means the players are going to be moving a little bit more. So obviously with players in the box, they are going to be, getting forward more. Now with the width, this is a pretty narrow formation, right? There's no left and right mids, there's no left and right wingers. It's going to be a pretty central formation. So we need a little bit of width, and what that allows for the attackers at least is to have larger areas to roam into. So the left striker and the right striker, for example, when the width is higher, let's say when it's on 7 width, they can actually move out a little bit wider, whereas let's say it was on 2 or 3 width, they're only going to be staying in that central area, right? Because again, they, according to the tactics, are not permitted to go wider. That then also allows the center attacking mid to have a little bit more space, because when the left and right strikers go out wide, because again they are allotted that space because of the tactics, the center attacking mid can go forward, and then obviously he can go side to side, he can drop back, he has a larger area to run into normally, but again, because the left and right striker go out wide, he can then push forward. So the reason why all of these things kind of intertwine is because I mentioned before in another instructions video that long ball tends to work in order to help your players move a little bit more, but because the width is so high and it allows your players to move a little bit more and to have, again, an allotted space to run into, because the players in the box is higher as well, and you have more players running forward, meaning they're going to be making more runs, at least attacking wise, you don't have to play long ball. For me, balanced is fine, and they make a good amount of runs with balance because, again, of the high width and the high players in the box. Moving on to the instructions and then also the types of players that you want. We'll start with actually the goalkeeper. I haven't really talked about this a lot, but essentially this is kind of what you guys just need to depend on. Come for crosses and balance is what I do. I used to have him on sweeper keeper, but after a mistake from last weekend, I'm probably not going to be doing that for a while. Perfectly through. Now I'm going to get it. I'm not bringing out my goalie. I'm gonna get it. Why would I bring out my goalie? I don't bring out my goalie here. Why does he run out? Now moving on to the actual defense and the outfield players. Starting with the center backs. In terms of the instructions, you don't really need to touch them. You don't really need to do anything there. And then for the types of players, honestly, you just kind of go with what you want. You know, the best players are just going to be who is good for you and who you like. Now, I mentioned before that it's probably going to be better just overall if your center backs are good on the ball and they can pass, because that's going to be a little bit easier for you play it out the back. But in this formation, it's not as necessary as, say the 3-5-2, for example. So again, while it is good and helpful, it's not necessarily something that is needed. And then for the left and right back, we have them just on balanced attack and balanced interceptions, but we have them on inverted. Now I believe this is pretty similar to Huge Gorilla, except instead of inverted, he has them on mixed. But the reason why I have them on inverted is because I believe it allows a little bit more space if you were to drag one of the outside center mids, the left center mid, right center mid, out wide. So what happens in that case is, let's say I do drag Ocampos out wide to the right mid spot, whether it's for a run or I just have the ball with him, I'm taking him out wide. That means Jesus Navas is going to cut on the inside. And what that allows for me, at least, is a little bit more spacing, so then we don't have two people bunched up on that right wing, right mid area, which, could then lead to a lost ball and then no one covering that right mid spot. So again, it's more about spacing than anything. And, even though it's on inverted, Jesus Navas is not going to cut on the inside of Ocampos if Ocampos is playing that right center mid spot, right? So Navas is still going to be overlapping the majority of the time. It's only then if Ocampos or Gozens goes out wide that your left and right back are then going to be inverted. That's the only case where that's going to be happening. Now, in terms of the types of players that you want at left and right back, obviously you want them to have very high stamina. They're going to be running up and down the field since they're on balanced attack, so they need to have high stamina. Good pace is a must. Dribbling and passing is very important as well. But contrary to what I've done in the past in terms of shooting, or recommended for left and right backs in terms of shooting, they don't have to be good at shooting this time around. In like the 10 games that I've used, 10-15 games I've used with the 4-3-1-2, I think I shot the ball one time with the left and right back. So obviously they're not going to be getting into that position to shoot nearly as often as other formations. So again, they need to be essentially a modern fullback, good at dribbling, good at passing, pacey, good at defending, obviously, because they are defenders, and good stamina as well. And I would also recommend having some subs on the bench, because like I said, these guys are going to be running up and down the field. They will be tired become the 80th, 85th minute, and if you do go into extra time, then you absolutely will need to sub them out. Moving on to the center mid, specifically the midfield here, we have the central center mid, stay back while attacking, cover center. We have the left center mid, stay back while attacking, cover center. And then we have the right center mid on default, everything. Now this is, I'm pretty sure, exactly what Huge Gorilla does, and obviously for the central center mid, it makes sense why these tactics work, right? He's essentially going to be kind of that defensive minded midfielder, almost that defensive mid. So when you do get a center mid in the spot, it is going to be someone like De Jong, who has medium high work rates. Chan is going to be good. Conte is going to be good. Again, that defensive minded, defensive mid type player in that central center mid role. But then for the other center mids, I'm not sure why this works, but it really does, in terms of having one of them on default and then having one of them on stay back, cover center. Now in terms of having the left on stay back, cover center, and the right on default, you don't need to do that. You can switch them around if you want to, as long as one of them is on stay back while attacking, cover center, and then the other is on default. But again, it doesn't matter who is on what instruction. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly why this works, but one of them on stay back while attacking does provide a little bit more defensive stability, which is very helpful. And the other one being on balanced and cover wing, or just default everything, he just tends to just run around in that kind of attacking midfield spot. So again, Gozens and Sean kind of tend to run back a little bit. Ocampos just kind of runs around and makes himself available constantly. So whoever your attack-minded midfielder is, they're going to be running around a lot. Again, it's similar to the left and right backs. That attack-minded midfielder is going to need high stamina. Maybe not as much as the left and right back, but again, they're going to be running up and down the field, so keep that in mind. Now for the types of players, like I mentioned before, with the central center mid, as long as it's more defensive minded, medium high work rates, low high work rates, that's probably going to be your best bet there. But for the other two center mid spots, they're going to be kind of the box-to-box center mids. So the Wijnaldums are going to be good. Ocampos, because even though his defending is not amazing, he's still tall, still has good physical. That would be very good there. Gozens is a good example. Nainggolan would be a good example. So again, as long as it's kind of the box-to-box center mids, that is going to be your best bet for these two spots. And now moving on to the attacking trio, and I say the attacking trio even though Correa is technically a midfielder, because all of these guys are going to be involved in the attack very heavily. These three guys are going to be scoring and assisting the vast majority of your goals. So for the center attacking mid, we have him on stay forward. I believe Huge Gorilla has him on comeback on defense, but personally, if any time I have a center attacking mid, I have to have them on stay forward, because one, that just adds some attacking help, but two, anytime, again, if it's not on stay forward, they literally go to play left mid, left wing back. And I'm not sure if that's just me, I'm not sure if that's a glitch or something, but it's happened literally the past few FIFAs. So again, we have to have them on stay forward for that reason, which, as I mentioned before, is good for me because we have some more attacking support. And then for the two strikers, we have them on get in behind, essentially just kind of pressing that back line, which is really nice. It also allows the center mids to kind of roam forward a little bit, and then also the center attacking mid to roam forward and push forward as well, because again, these two players are going to be pressing that back line. Now, in terms of the players that you want in that attacking trio, they essentially all have to be good at shooting, passing, and really be good at dribbling. I can't emphasize the dribbling enough. Someone like Immobile, while I have no doubt he would score goals, and someone who I've liked using in the past, he would not work in this formation because he, again, doesn't have the best dribbling. Also, link-up play is going to be an issue. All of these guys are going to be interconnected, especially with the center attacking mid moving forward. So your center attacking mid, yeah, he's going to be providing more assists than goals, but he still has to shoot. Your strikers, yeah, they're going to be scoring more goals than getting assists, but they still have to pass. And all of them, like I said, have to be good at dribbling, because you're going to be making these quick passes. And along with that, this team presses very, very well, even on balanced defensive style. So to make those, quick passes, they'll get those quick touches, that's needed because you're going to be pressing fairly often. So overall, this team is a high intensity attacking pressing team. Now, I do need to mention and reiterate again that even though we have the defensive style unbalanced, this team presses extremely well. This formation presses extremely well, mainly because we have three central center mids. We have three center mids instead of two center mids and a defensive mid. So I've tried it before as well with the defensive style on press after possession loss. It's genuinely better on balanced. Not only that, your players don't get tired as quickly, and players aren't going to be out of position more often because they are so intent on pressing. So having it on balanced, genuinely, that is going to be super helpful. So look to press very often. Look to press. Look to attack those defenders, your opposition's defenders, which is again why it's important to have these three players, your attacking trio, good with just passing, shooting, and especially dribbling. So then they can get the ball out from their feet quickly, and then you can just respond to whatever your opposition is doing. So that is going to do it for this video. If you do have any questions, let me know and I will try to answer them for you. But like I said, that is going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been DMG. Peace.